So guys, a very important clarification has come from India's side. It is regarding the deployment of Indian naval forces in the Strait of Hormuz. The Ministry of External Affairs has clarified that India has not held any bilateral talks with the US regarding deploying its navy in the Strait of Hormuz. As we know, America is stuck in the West Asian War, and now it is urging several countries to send their warships to unblock the Strait of Hormuz. Basically, now America wants other countries to join the war it has started and help it in securing the shipping routes, thereby preventing the global energy crisis caused by the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. Since America is urging NATO allies and other countries to send their naval forces in the Strait of Hormuz, India had to clarify that it has not discussed any plan with the US to deploy its naval warships. There has been no conversation regarding the deployment of joint naval forces in West Asia. No discussion with the US government to deploy Indian warships to protect commercial ships in the region. Basically, India is saying to the US, no thanks. This means that the US idea of having an international naval presence to keep the route open is not succeeding for the time being. Countries across the globe are reluctant to join the West Asia war because of the fear of Iranian retaliation. Countries are trying to protect their own interests. India too has deployed its warships in the region to escort Indian flagged ships safely through the Gulf, not to protect the larger commercial interests, but only to protect the Indian flagged ships currently operating in the Persian Gulf region and the Indian sailors on board these vessels. So India clearly does not want to be a part of a military coalition, but it does want to protect Indian shipping. India does not want to damage its long-standing ties with Iran because of the strategic projects like the Chabahar port, which provide India the connectivity to Central Asia, and also for energy security. See, Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, which is crucial for India's energy security. So India definitely would not want to risk all of that by joining US military operation against Iran. India, as we know, follows a foreign policy principle of strategic autonomy. It prefers independent decision making. So it is avoiding joining military alliances led by major powers. India does not want to appear as a part of a military bloc. India wants to ensure the safety of Indians working in the Gulf region. It does not want to be seen military siding with the US because this could put Indian workers at risk. It could also complicate the evacuation operations during conflict. So India's official diplomatic position is, no thank you, we are not going to join the war. But yes, we want de-escalation. All countries must exercise restraint. The crisis should be solved through dialogue and diplomacy. Sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected. All such standard responses. So India is carefully trying to avoid choosing sides and simultaneously trying to manage relations with US, Iran, Israel and the Gulf countries. Actually, there have been very few countries in the world that have managed to maintain ties with all sides in a conflict zone. India is one such country, and it would like to keep it that way. Also, even NATO countries are reluctant to join the war, despite NATO's most powerful member US urging them to deploy their assets in the Middle East. It is absolutely clear that US did not think this through. It was completely unprepared and unplanned before launching attacks on Iran. It never expected that Iran would retaliate in this way. Iran would be this prepared. With the support of Russia and China, Iran is responding fiercely on the battleground. It is attacking US military bases, diplomatic facilities, and ships and energy infrastructure in the Gulf region. The conflict is seriously escalating, and it has reached a point that America now has to request allies to help militarily and join the war. The boasting and delusion continues, but the ground reality is that America is now requesting other countries to protect shipping routes, to which other countries are responding, no thank you, it is your war. You started this and now we are staying out. Many European allies have refused to join the war. America is now finding out the hard way that NATO is a defensive alliance and not an automatic war coalition. NATO was created for collective defense, to defend the member countries against attack. Article 5, if one member is attacked, then it will be considered an attack on all members. Then the allies would assess the attacked country. There is a crucial condition that the attack must be on the territory of a NATO member. But in this case, despite Iran agreeing to unprecedented concessions, despite Iran being on the negotiating table, America and Israel chose to attack Iran. They chose to start a war. And now, when things are not going as expected, they now want NATO countries to join the war which they started. NATO countries are clarifying that they are not obligated to join this war. Providing military support, logistics, intelligence, political backing is one thing, but NATO allies are reluctant to send their troops in the war because it will be stupid and politically dangerous at home. This stance is not at all surprising. After all, it was not long ago when America was threatening to annex Greenland, was using insulting tone towards NATO allies, was openly threatening to abandon them, when it chose to start a war on its own, when it did not care to get it approved by NATO. Were NATO countries consulted before starting a war on Iran? No. So why is it surprising if NATO countries are responding that it is not our war? You chose to start it, now deal with it. NATO countries like Germany are saying that they would not join the war without a mandate from NATO, European Union or United Nations. The stance of the NATO countries are justified. They are fearing a large regional war. They are worried about regional escalation, and they should be. If NATO joins militarily, the conflict will expand. We'll start seeing attacks on European bases as well. Iran has openly threatened for the same. So we'll see a wider instability in the Gulf. That is why NATO countries are preferring diplomacy and de-escalation and protecting shipping routes without actively joining combat. This is why countries like Germany, France and the UK have rejected Trump's requests for naval deployments. So NATO is reluctant to formally participate in the Iran conflict. It was a unilateral decision by America and Israel to attack Iran. They started the war and not NATO. Iran is now retaliating and defending itself. The problem is that Israel and America were not prepared for a long war, and Iran is exactly doing that. So now when America and Israel are running out of ammunition, they are seeking help and support, but looks like they are getting isolated. Thanks to America's protectionist policies, arrogance, condescending tone, now European allies are becoming more independent in their foreign policy. They do not want to be dragged in wars initiated by the US. So a clear message is being sent that now the US leadership is not unquestioned. Now even allies are showing reluctance to join US military campaigns. Despite Iran attacking US facilities, NATO countries are pointing out that these attacks are happening outside of our territory, and the alliance was not involved in starting the conflict. So we are staying out of this. Clearly the US has made a strategic blunder, and this time it is finding out in a hard way.